Black Queer Town Hall is brought to you by PVH, Facebook, Kiva, Stella Artois, Polaroid, TikTok, Barefoot, Carol's Daughter, and Scruff. And a big thanks to our premium donors, Mastercard, Most at Netflix, and every single one of you watching for helping with the GoFundMe.
For transgender people, a secure payment doesn't mean protecting yourself from someone buying sneakers with your card. No, if you're transgender, a secure payment means paying for something without being judged, questioned, disrespected, humiliated, harassed, even assaulted, simply because the name on your card doesn't match how you identify. This is about more than just keeping a card safe. It's about keeping us safe. True Name by Mastercard, the first card that allows you to display your chosen name because that's who you truly are.
We're head turners. We're magic makers. We take the zigzagged path and add volume in every room. Each kink and coil, a reminder that we bounce back no matter what. Naturally unique, we do our own thing, and together we are tighter than our texture. Carol's Daughter, the bond is real.
As a proud LGBTQ+ ally since 1988,
Barefoot believes in accepting everyone exactly as they are.
So be bold with us.
So be proud with us.
Be you with us.
When you purchase our new Pride Sweet Rosé Bubbly,
Barefoot gives back to free mom hugs.
And the National Center for Transgender Equality.
to help build a world where everyone can be truly
unapologetically themselves.
So barefoot with us.
And that was a video from our very fabulous, our top sponsor, Mastercard. Thank you so much for all the support.
Yes, and we would like to kick off our ceremony with Candace Marie Woods and their rendition of the Black National Anthem.
A song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Lift every voice and sing till within heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise against the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
That was such a wonderful, thank you so much, Candace Marie Woods, for that wonderful performance. It feels so great to have the Black National Anthem at the beginning of this event. And that is also a tradition. Speaking of traditions, we are back again for Black Queer Town Hall.
Now, welcome to the first day of the second annual Black Queer Town Hall Pep. We're back at it again, baby.
Honey, back and black. Honey, we are here. We didn't know. We didn't even know 2 months ago. We weren't sure. I mean, to be honest, we knew. We knew. We knew.
The girls always know.
Yeah, it's so good to be reunited with you at this time. It feels official because we are doing it again in connection with NYC Pride and GLAAD. You know, the first year is like, okay, we did an event. But this year, since it's our second, it's an every year thing.
We can officially say, welcome to the second annual Black Queer Town Hall.
Oh, wait, in the chat, I want to know how many people in the chat, just by show of emojis. I still don't know how to do this. I still feel like I'm at a live drag show, and it's been 2 years.
If you've been here, if you came last year, do this emoji.
Yeah. And if this is your first time watching and first time joining us, first of all, thank you. Second of all, put this emoji.
We'll be checking. So, Pat, we've been up to so much this year. We did, I mean, listen, we actually have a great little presentation to show you what we've been up to, but a little recap between us. I mean, we helped with Black Queer Excellence in Twin Cities.
We did. We're
scientists. We are scientists now.
We are scientists now. We did a STEM event, which I learned STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I did not know that. Darlings, don't drag me in the comments.
We participated in Afropunk. We have just been all over the place. It's been truly amazing.
It's been a wonderful, and I have to say that just because of all of the energy that we were able to tap into last year, that's what propelled us to doing all of this, not only this event, but all those other events we just mentioned over the past year. And so now you can't stop us, honey. We're on this. But we've also personally been doing some stuff.
Not to mention, we are also officially a nonprofit. Girl, this was a nonprofit in 2020. Y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know.
Honey, you thought doing taxes was daunting.
So all of your donations now that you give to Black Queer Town Hall are full on tax write-offs. And all the money that you put into the show goes directly toward helping Black queer people and our allies who help us put these amazing shows on. Now, Pep, what have you been up to this year?
Honey, I've been up to a lot. Probably more than I should have been, especially considering everything was closed. I just released the short film version of my album, A Girl Like Me, Letters to My Lovers, which depicts the romantic relationship that I was in. And it's really all for the purposes of destigmatizing the relationships between transgender people and their partners. So that is airing on Out TV. Thank you so much, Out TV. And we just filmed part 2 of that. So y'all, this is way ahead of the time. Y'all will be able to watch part 1 and part 2 together probably next year. But I'm just really excited about that. We also submitted to some film festivals, so waiting to hear back about that. And I also went and filmed, if I wasn't busy enough, went and filmed
I know, right?
A new TV show, a new drag reality competition show called Call Me Mother, which is, 3 mothers, 3 houses, and a whole lot of drag children. And I'm excited about that. That premieres also on Out TV in the fall. And so people can check me out.
You are officially a Canadian mother.
I'm a Canadian mother.
Canadian goose.
Canadian mother goose. Eh? Canadian mother goose, eh? But what have you been up to? I mean, we all know. Congrats on the Emmy nomination for We're Here, first of all. Hello.
Yeah, we're filming season 2 of We're Here. My podcast with my good Judy Monet Exchange has been taking off. I've been doing a little bit of music video directing myself.
I mean, hello.
I hosted 2 seasons of The Pit Stop. I mean, a lot happened. I don't know how I was able to do as much as I did. And I moved to LA, a lot. I moved across the country. Girl, it's been
first
wild.
of all, I'm not acknowledging that, but I am going to acknowledge what we did together. We single-handedly or double-handedly, because there's 2 of us, we double-handedly, four-handedly, because we have 4 hands, were responsible for delivering about at least 3 viral moments.
I forgot.
We've never even talked about this.
We don't really talk about our, is it fashion, this.
The fracking, race.
Yeah. Race. Yeah, we have contributed to the internet lexicon of memography. So you're welcome, honey. and on accident every time.
Hello. It's true.
So listen, if you want to see a little bit more about what we've been up to here at Black Queer Town Hall, check out this video.
Pride, a vibrant month of the year. But this year was different. The world was in the middle of a social justice movement that wouldn't be ignored. At the height of national protests, the community needed a space to heal, mourn, and find joy in the midst of sadness.
Today, I urge you to commit that today is the very last day that transphobia will bring the lives, loves, and joys of Black trans people.
In came 2 New York City legends, Bob the Drag Queen and Peppermint, entertainers and activists ready to recenter pride around Black queer voices. Working with GLAAD and NYC Pride, Black Queer Town Hall was born.
Black Queer Town Hall.
A 3-day event of roundtable discussions and performances driven by Black queer artists, community leaders, and allies, including the iconic Dr. Angela Davis.
Activist, pro-working class, revolutionary, intellectual community
who we
builder.
crowned with the first ever Black Queer Excellence Award. The event was an overwhelming success, with nearly 500,000 views and 11,000 social media mentions. We held necessary conversations, uplifted Black voices, and came together to rejoice. Best of all, we raised over $270,000 for our talent.
To pay Black queer
and the
excellence.
Okra Project, an organization feeding the Black trans community. Now, Black Queer Town Hall is on a mission to continue celebrating Black queer queer excellence, cultivating community, and uplifting the many voices that the world needs to hear.
So thank you all so much for joining us. And remember, stay black, stay proud, and we will see you around.
So that's a little bit about what we've been up to for the past year. And now, Bob, what are we up to for tonight?
We have some roundtable discussions, some fireside chats, some conversations, and some amazing performances. This includes a presentation on the history of New York drag performers. We're going to talk about making space for Black people at Pride events. We're going to be talking to some trans people who contribute to entertainment and their contributions back to us. We're going to hear from some trans athletes. We're going to talk about the amazing impact that Ballroom has had on Black queer culture. Pep is going to sit down and have a conversation with Randall Tucker from Mastercard. We're going to talk to some Black sex workers about their validity, and we're going to have a poem from the Seattle Civic Poet.
Woo! That is a lot of good stuff.
Oh, girl, the menu is full. We went to the menus.
Darling.
We went to the restaurant and said, we'll order it all.
I'll take everything Black.
Everything Black and queer.
Hello.
With that being said, that is a full menu. So, honey, let's eat, okay? For our appetizer, I'm not going to do the food analogy the whole day.
Okay, because I really liked it.
For our little appetizer, let's talk about drag. I mean, I don't even need to. I think it goes without saying to anyone watching at home the impact that drag has had on our lives.
I mean, drag has an impact on the world. Let's just be real. But doing drag in New York City is a very particular thing. There's a lot less resources and a lot more things to do with. And so I love doing drag and learning the ropes in New York City because no doubt at some point in the game, if you're working regularly in the nightlife world, you are working and performing and learning next to a legend or a future legend. Yep.
Now, I ain't saying nothing about drag in the rest of the world. I ain't saying, all I'm saying is New York City drag performers know how to get it done. We are the ones who contribute to the queer lexicon, culture, and shifting in the entire queer world, in the entire world for that matter. So I'm really excited to have Keisha, Carr, and Shaquita help us out with a presentation on the history of drag. And a special shout out to Joe Jeffries over at NYU for helping with the research.
That's right. Joe is, in addition to being a professor, he's also a drag and queer nightlife historian and has documented pretty much all of the best performances that you could have seen that you weren't at. So if you can find Joe Jeffries, please follow all of his social media and maybe you'll get a chance to see a performance. But in the meantime, let's hear about the history of drag.
Black drag queens from the New York City scene have been changing the game one heel clack at a time since the scene began.
We have contributed everything from language and dance moves to political change and millions of dollars in charitable donations.
When someone needs to raise money for their cause, who do they call?
Black drag queens.
Whenever they want to get the word out about an event or rally, who do they call?
Black drag queens.
And who shows up without fail to uplift, amplify, accurate cure culture?
Black drag queens. Now, some of you may not know much about black drag before Marsha P. Johnson, but allow us to take you on a little journey. In the 1950s, the Italian mob had a strong hand on the NYC queer scene.
Oh, a strong hand? How are the arms?
Girl, get your mind out of the gutter.
Oops, sorry.
The Genovese family ran Club 82 on East 4th Street.
Oh, so the East Village has always been gay?
Are there really any straight neighborhoods in New York City?
Touché.
They hired a black drag queen named Mel Michaels to perform at the club. Mel was a huge hit at the club and later took on the stage name Angie Stardust. She ended up moving to Europe and managing the first male strip review in all of Germany.
That's the kind of show I want to go to. Angie really paved the way for so many black drag performers by taking up space in white establishments. There is also a lot to be said about queens who create and cultivate spaces that are mostly for people of color. Enter Crystal LaBeija.
Stunt queen of all stunt queens!
In the pivotal scene of the 1968 documentary, the queen, Crystal LaBeija, let the children have it when she did not place as high in the pageant as she wanted.
Miss Thing, I don't say she's not beautiful, but she wasn't looking beautiful tonight. Look at her makeup. It's terrible.
After feeling disenfranchised in the pageant and the ballroom scene, Crystal formed the House of LaBeija. The LaBeijas are the oldest and one of the most prolific houses in ballroom to this day. Crystal is the blueprint for what has become the modern ballroom culture.
Without Crystal LaBeija, we wouldn't have Paris is Burning, Pose, or Legendary.
1 year later, we hop over to 1969, the scene of the Stonewall riots. There's a lot of debate about what action initiated the Stonewall riots. A lot of people say that Marsha P. Johnson threw the first brick. Some people say that a black woman named Storm threw a shot glass, and some people say nothing was thrown at all.
Now, the history books have a way of boiling down Marsha P. Johnson's contribution to just throwing a brick, when she did so much more than that. In the 1970s, she co-founded STAR, Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, which was a gender non-conforming radical activist group that provided housing for queer homeless youth and advocated for sex workers' rights.
See, the queens will show up for you even when you can't show up for yourself, honey.
Come on over to the 1990s when we meet Joan Jett Black, 1992 presidential hopeful. After running for mayor of Chicago and then dubbing herself the queer mayor of Chicago, she announced her candidacy for president of the United States.
She started her drag career as an ACT-UP activist, and by early 90s, she had taken her act on the road and was headed for the White House. She was actually able to make her way onto the floor of the Democratic National Convention to announce her platform, announcing to the world, "It's gonna be the pink house when we get done with it, honey."
Her platform was extreme liberalism, with ideas like returning lands to Native Americans, socialism programs to end homelessness and create jobs, and queer liberation for all. Part street theater and part activism, she was able to spread awareness about queer issues in the early 90s when queer liberation was so desperately needed.
Stunts like this helps create the 90s drag boom that paved the way for Priscilla, Tu Wong Fu, and RuPaul, and even me.
You started dragging the 90s? Oh, I thought you started dragging your 90s.
Well, I'm still skinnier than Bob.
Truth. The 1990s gave birth to so many incredible black drag queens like Flotilla DeBarge, Lena Bradford, Harmonica Sunbeam, Kevin Aviance, Vivacious, and so many more, including the late great Mona Foote, who started and hosted Star Search, which is the longest running drag show in New York City, which I currently host. This is me.
I've heard some of the older queens say the 90s were very fun.
Ain't this you in 1997?
Ain't this you looking busted in 2011? Mm-hmm.
Moving on.
That's what I thought.
In 2009, a television show that you all know as RuPaul's Drag Race premiered, and another drag baby boom happened, creating queens like Monet X Change, Bob the Drag Queen, Brenda Darling, Olivia Lux, Candy Muse, Sasha Pierce, and countless other amazing black drag queens that continue to make history and change the face of pop and queer culture.
So the next time you see a black drag performer sashay past you on the 1 train at 5 a.m., just remember, they might be making history.
Thank you so much, Keisha Carr. Thank you so much, Shaquita. They're icons. I gotta be honest, the other day when I was doing research for this, I was looking up some Shaquita footage, and I was like, I've always known she's an icon, but the children don't even know. Pep, they literally don't even know.
They don't know, and they need to definitely find out. Shaquita was one of the icons. Shaquita was iconic before I even knew that Shaquita was Shaquita. One of Shaquita's top sort of pre-viral, but would have been viral if we had, been in that era, moments was as an opera singer on the Jerry Springer, Ricky Lake, and pretty much every daytime TV talk show that we were watching back in the day. So if you see, a drag opera singer and she's black, it's probably Shaquita.
If she's a baritone, it's Monet. Open dialogue and discussions are a really important staple here at Black Queer Town Hall, and we are so excited to bring to you another year of amazing discussions that are led and generated by community builders, icons, leaders, and true thought provokers in the Black queer space. So without further ado, I would love to launch you into our panels portion.
Hello, everyone. Welcome today. I am here to introduce to you some local members of Black Prides. I am Caroline Caldwell, the president of Upstate Pride SC. I have here with me today Quentin Bell from Selma Pride and Knights and Orchids. I have Jay Clapp from the LGBT Center of Durham Incorporated. And we are here to give you a little taste of what is Black Pride? Why is it important? Who are these people? What are they doing? We're going to let you know. But before that, I'm going to let each of these panelists give you their pronouns and tell you just a little bit about themselves. We'll start with you, Quentin.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Quentin Bell. I'm the executive director and one of the co-founders of the Knights and Orchid Society. In TKO, we started doing historic Selma Black Pride about 3 years ago. And currently, I'm not the leadership, but I am a part of the team that kind of manages and makes sure everything flows for Black Pride.
Awesome. Thank you. And Jay Clapp.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Jay Clapp. My pronouns are she or they. I'm the executive director at the LGBTQ Center of Durham, the parent organization of Pride Durham NC, which is an event that I helped found after North Carolina Pride was dismantled here in Durham, North Carolina, and was in need of some Black queer leadership. I include my stage name, Vivica C. Cox, because that was a part of the story that got us started, and we capitalized on her success to kind of justify the pivot away from the former leadership. So I'm excited to be here and to talk about what it's like to be Black and do Pride.
Awesome. I am so grateful to have both of you here. We're a small group, but we're a mighty group. And I'm sure we have some very rich and poignant stories to be able to share and tell. So our first question is, why is it important for Black Pride to take space in Pride celebrations? Why is it important? What makes Black Pride necessary? Quentin?
Off the back like that, huh? Okay. I think it's important for us to have spaces where we can be free, where we can fellowship. So many times in the day-to-day, we deal with microaggressions. We deal with stress. We deal with so many different barriers that we don't have time to fellowship. We don't have time to come together and rejoice. And we don't have a place where we feel empowered. And I think Black Pride is a celebration of all of those things, being able to have family, friends, love, empowerment, all of those things happening in one place. So I'll keep it short and leave that as my answer.
Thank you. Jay?
Well, I think about it in the fact that so often, and I know I'm going to be piggybacking off of what Quentin just said, but so often we don't have those spaces where we can just be ourselves. But oftentimes, if you're able to create space for those who are the most marginalized among us, you're actually creating space for everyone. And so by prioritizing the needs of our BIPOC community, we are able to create a pride that everyone will enjoy instead of leaving it in the hands of those with more power, when that pride is only going to be appealing to people with power and who exist in spaces with power. But instead, we're able to create something that everyone enjoys with more energy and, quite frankly, color. And I love color, so I'm okay with that.
Quentin, do you have anything to share in terms of your experiences and possibly any white backlash or just not understanding the need for a separate pride?
Little bit of a different experience. Selma being so small, 80% African American, very rural, we didn't have any representation. This is the first time. Our organization is literally the only queer trans presence you'll see in the entire city. There isn't any representation. And to go a step further, there's no representation of queer and trans folks in this area for either an hour to the west, or you have to go an hour and a half to the north. So within 150 miles, there's nowhere. So for us, it was more of a necessity to be able to let folks in our city know that you can be Black, trans, and queer, and you can still thrive, you can still exist, and we can still thrive together. We've also been in spaces with white-led organizations, and the difference. It's a complete difference. For once, the number one thing that really made us focus on wanting to have a pride was the amount of police presence that you see at pride events. And when you think about how Pride started, you know that that's a big disservice. It's literally a slap in the face. So we definitely started out of necessity to be more visible, but we have been in spaces where there are police presence, but we have also boycotted spaces and not gone to Prides because they had police presence, or because we were told that people walking in the door with "Make America Great Again" hats on deserve to be there too. And it's like, what? So it's definitely out of necessity and having needing more space for ourselves. And like what J. Clapp said earlier, when you have a pride that's created and centered around the most marginalized people, it's a pride that everybody can enjoy. But when it's the opposite way, everybody does not enjoy that pride. So we make it our mission to make sure that, like you said, the roster is heavy with Black or people of color or no police. We hired the first year we hired an all trans security team. We had a safety team, and we put the police on the outside edges because, like you said, we have to have police, but we also get to define where they show up. So we don't want y'all to go past this boundary. And inside of that boundary, we had our own team to be able to combat the police. So completely out of visibility and necessity, and wanting to foster a space and create a space that was for us.
Well, I absolutely love it. And again, that was one of the joys for me as well with our first Black Pride, is there were so many people running up to us saying, this is my first Pride. Like, oh my God. And it's in my city and it's in my town. And to be able to provide that for community, I mean, was just priceless. It just like literally filled my heart. And it solidified for me that all the uppercuts and the hair pulling and the knockdown dragouts that we had to do to make it happen was absolutely 100% necessary. You know what I mean? And that it needed to happen. And so I too am excited in terms of Blackness, in terms of our queerness, and in terms of all the turmoil that happened last year. With George Floyd, with protesting, with really centering Black lives, and the fact that they matter. Have you seen a change in the way that Black LGBTQ organizations are treated or handled or approached? Or do you feel like there's any, have we in any way benefited from the movement that has occurred during that period of time?
I'm going to jump in here. It's complicated. Yes, we've seen more dollars this year. We had a COVID-19 Rapid Relief Fund specifically for queer and trans people of color. And we've totaled more than $90,000 disseminated into the Durham community in micro grants that are low barrier, high access. And that wouldn't have been possible, right, if attention hadn't been brought to specifically Black trans lives. But I also have to be a little personal here. I have a very public persona. And in 2017, my brother was murdered by police, and the Durham community was highly aware of that. And here I am running this organization, and a lot of people thought of me and the organization that I'm a part of for their monies. And I know that we benefited from that, which is complicated, right? But also, we're seeing dollars.
Very.
We're not seeing an overwhelming change in mindset or action. So to say, are we benefiting, is complicated. Because yes, we are. But the to-do list that we would issue to the greater, wider world is not yet complete. Yeah, I'm going to stop there.
That is absolutely fantastic. I will add that my personal motto is let love be your brand. And if you are a queer person of color, I want you to know that you are loved. As Quentin said, you are enough. As J. Clapp said, Don't be afraid to say yes at the right time. Don't be afraid to find your time. Know that you have value no matter what anyone has ever said to you. Know that you are able to kiss your dreams in the mouth at any given time. All it simply takes is the will. And know that the Black Queer Town Hall is here for you to learn, to have virtual community, and to experience that love. We thank you for being with us. We hope that we gave you some knowledge, and we hope that we shared some love. It was our pleasure and our honor to be here with you tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, if you enjoyed that conversation, that was just a snippet, baby. And if you want the full discussion, please head over to Black Queer Town Hall's YouTube page. As a reminder, these are truly the people who are making sure there is a safe space for Black people in these Pride celebrations. So thank you so much.
In addition, these people were making space for Black queer entertainers in Pride before Pride organizations were making space for Black queer entertainers on Pride. Mm-hmm. And speaking of making space, I am so excited to have, I would say the guru of Queer Eye, who is pretty much the heart and the emotion of Queer Eye, to introduce our next section. Please give it up for the one, the only Karamo.
Hey friends, I'm Karamo, and I'm here to introduce an amazing moderator and panelist of individuals who will be focusing on trans contributions to entertainment. This is an important panel because, as we know, trans and non-binary individuals have always led the way and been our collective guiding light when it comes to standing up, being visible, and advocating for equity and equality in and outside of entertainment. But as we know, we need more trans representation in the media. That's why I'm so excited for this discussion, which will be moderated by activist, filmmaker, and writer Tourmaline, who goes by pronouns she, her, and hers, and our panelists, one of the most talented musicians in the world, Aja, who goes by they, them, exceptional video creator Zaya, whose pronouns are she, her, and Emmy-nominated makeup artist Deja, whose pronouns are she, her. So let's get this panel started.
Hello everyone, I'm Tourmaline. Welcome to Trans Contribution to Entertainment panel. Today we are talking with some amazing entertainers and creators. Could you please introduce yourselves?
So hi, I'm Zaya. I am 19. I go by she, her, and I am a Black transgender woman. And I'm an influencer, and I just post my story on the internet. And yeah, that's what I do.
Hi, I'm Aja. I am a rapper and model, former drag artist from New York City. And my pronouns are they and she. I'm very excited to be here today.
Hi, my name is Deja, the Lady Deja Smith, and I am here from, I'm in the Heights. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I would call myself a multidisciplinary artivist. I do a lot of different things.
Thank you, everyone. So the first question is, representation matters, but not always available. Who were your role models before this explosion of visibility?
Role models. Okay, so growing up queer, I'm from Michigan, a small town in Michigan, and it's majority Caucasian, very low queer population. So growing up there, I was in the closet for 18 years, and I don't know, I just ran to the internet for my role models, and I was young. I'm Gen Z. I was on YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, Vine, all that. And anyone who just was unapologetically themselves online, I looked up to so much, no matter who they were. Like just growing up, there's controversial figures today, but growing up, I looked up to them like James Charles, Jeffree Star. Like they're not people that I look up to anymore, but growing up, they were my biggest role models because they were just being themselves. And I really envied that and I wanted that. And it helped me come out of my shell and become who I am.
I would say growing up on Long Island, I was so close to New York City, and I was also a latchkey kid. My mom was a police officer, so I had a little bit more freedom at home, and then also being, very inquisitive. I would find spaces to find people. I was always interested in finding community in particular. And especially after this one night I saw Paris is Burning on a late night movie. And I realized that the piers were so close to me. By 13, I was already sneaking from Long Island into the city to go to the Christopher Street piers. So I would say that my first images of trans representation, for the most part, were on the Christopher Street piers. And then eventually, as I grew older, moved to Dallas and became involved in the drag pageantry scene, that there were a lot of influential drag queens who happened to be trans women for me at that time. And then coming back to New York and being a part of the drag scene in New York at Escuelitas and the Monsters, so many different places. Older trans women, especially trans women from the 80s, 70s, and 80s, were my main inspiration for how to navigate this life. And I still hold them near and dear.
For me, growing up in New York, I had a lot of exposure to other queer people. And, I grew up on the piers in the early, 2010s. Well, maybe 2006. I was 12 and I'm over here telling everyone I'm 18. Of course, I don't know why anybody would believe me, but, I was getting to meet all these amazing Black and Latin trans women who were showing me other trans women and then other non-conforming people. And there's just so much people to name. But I found myself falling in love with the ballroom scene in particular. And, there were the icons like Sanaya, Deja, we had Alora, we had all of these beautiful women. And I just kept thinking I want to encompass that energy where I can let everything that's inside show on the outside. And so before this huge explosion of visibility, which to be honest with you, still doesn't even feel like it's that big yet, because I feel like when you've been living, behind the screen and sort of seeing everything and everyone who's really there, what's made it to the forefront is still, in my opinion, not enough. And I don't think we should settle. I think we should keep pushing the envelope or pushing the boundary because, the fact is that we're people, we're normal people, we're regular people, and we're all just trying to live. And that representation matters because growing up, unless we looked for it or were exposed to it, there's a lot of people who are in our age groups who still haven't had representation or someone that they can look up to who is trans or non-conforming or non-binary. So I feel fortunate to say that I have those icons and people to look up to, but we need so much more, especially now, because now as things move forward socially and politically, they're moving forward socially, but kind of backward politically, if we're being honest, with the bathroom laws and everything. But as we move forward with time, we have to let people know that, trans and non-binary people are not going anywhere.
And question is, what experiences have you had in dealing with or fighting stereotypes from inside and outside the community?
Oh, Lord, there's so many. And, I'm 19. I came out as my true self when I was 18, so it's just been a little over a year. So I'm still learning how to navigate through this crazy-ass lifestyle. And stereotypes that I hate is when it comes to appearance that you don't have to look a certain way to be valid in your identity. And it's taught me a lot, and it's brought a lot of self-confidence to me as I've learned and explored that, because I used to be very insecure, especially with, you know, my jaw structure, how I spoke, my hair, just everything. Like, appearance is not something that should bring people down as much as it does, especially in the trans community. But just know you do not have to look or be a certain way to be valid as a trans person.
I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, Zaya. I just wanted to say thank you for saying that, because I think as a trans woman of color from a previous generation, again, I'm born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, those assumptions were definitely there for trans women. If you were transitioning, there was an expectation that you were going to go through certain modifications to align with what it meant to be trans at that time. And it just gives me so much hope to hear you say, you know, it's not about the makeup. It's not about me conforming or, you know, fighting against what is naturally beautiful in me to present as this other. That's so transformative. I think the youth, I'm so just proud of our trans youth of color for really taking the charge. Maybe the door was cracked open with the transgender tipping point, but I do see you all rushing in, and it's just makes my heart so warm.
These are some really powerful answers, y'all. Okay, what role does mainstream entertainment Hollywood industry play in educating the masses?
Oh my gosh, it's a huge role. Huge. Because you see, years ago, what show was it? Was it Jimmy Kimmel or some show? It was some stupid live TV show where it's portraying trans women with like super deep voice, bulge, like literally on camera. They had huge bulge in the camera. It was making trans women like all seem like cross-dressers, and like when that goes out to the public and you see trans women portrayed this way, like for years, trans women have always been portrayed as like the joke or the laughing point on so many television series, especially. And then when people see that, they take that as reality, and they take that as that's what trans people are. And it's gotten better today. You see a lot more trans representation on TV. For example, Pose or Euphoria. I feel like those two shows.
I have, I think, a unique perspective on it because I work as a makeup artist in film and TV often, and I've had the chance to work on some of the most transformative television or film portrayals of trans people. But I come from a generation that, you know, Maury Povich or Donahue or Sally Jesse Raphael was kind of the height of what you could achieve as a trans woman. And I myself was even on an episode of Maury Povich for a number of reasons. Number one, because I needed the money. But what I didn't realize I was doing at that time, although it was kind of a fun game, it was so triggering being lined up like cattle and paraded in front of a group of peers or community members of mostly Black and Latin people who were in the audience as they kind of picked apart the pieces of us that were valid and not valid. That being said, it was in a sense validating because that was my first opportunity to be aligned with so many amazing, incredible trans women and cis women who were actually more so allies than anything, who love the girls. But today, when we have programs like Euphoria, which I absolutely love, Pose, which I absolutely love, that I do think are doing the work of transforming what we see in American film and TV, or actually globally, film and TV to be trans, I agree that there is much more work to be done because those media portrayals of trans people do not represent all trans people. And until we are represented in every way, in every body shape, in every aesthetic that we represent, which is every aesthetic that every human being represents, we're not really making the actual change that needs to happen in order for us to just be human beings, in order for us to just be American citizens, in order for us to just be brothers and sisters and non-binary siblings. That's the work that is to come. And I do have hope that work is coming. And I am very impressed with where we are today, but we just cannot settle. I think the biggest thing that we need to just remember is we cannot settle for where we are now. We must keep pushing forward.
This has been an edited version of the conversation, and if you'd like to hear the entire conversation, you can head over to the Black Queer Town Hall YouTube page for this and many other conversations.
Thank you so much to those amazing people. And just remember, it is always important to make sure that we make space and let trans people tell their own stories. Now, at Black Queer Town Hall, we are very, very proud of being able to give to other nonprofits, not just ourselves, but giving to other nonprofits. Now, 2 years ago, I was lucky enough to travel to Selma, Alabama, and headline their Pride event. It was honestly one of the most moving experiences of my life. It was a Pride that they couldn't even advertise because they were afraid of the wrong people showing up. We had about 15 people there. When I say it moved me, it moved me. Now, when I was there, I was also able to meet TKO, the Knights and Orchid Society. We have chosen them as our charitable donation this year. Here's a word from them.
It takes a lot to be Black and trans in the South. But I also know how freeing it is now that I have transitioned and I'm more comfortable with myself.
I don't think I've ever not shown up as my full self, coming in and being very Puerto Rican. And with that, right, comes being loud and then being very queer and not being afraid of that.
Selma gets its name, the Black Belt City, because of the Black rich soil that's here. The money that we put into gardening, we're able to get 3 times as much food back and expose the folks who may not be queer and trans who work with us, and just kind of normalize that all Black people really can exist together and we can thrive together.
I can't always fully imagine what a better world can look like, but I can think about who I want to build it with.
From the day one, I just decided this is what I'm going to do.
Now, if you want to give a little extra cointhada to the Knights and Orchid Society, then you can head over to their website. It is visible right here on your screen.
That's right. And so last year we decided we wanted to do a section on Ballroom, and we weren't able to include it because we had so much to bring. So this year it's extra special that we have a panel on Ballroom culture.
Hi, I am Shannon Balenciaga. I am she, her, cisgender, Black female. And I walk face, body, sex, perfect 10, trilogy, all those good things that run me some cash. And fashion categories.
Hi, I am the legendary Mother Erica Longvin. My pronouns are she and her. I walk femme queen face and anything fashion.
Hi, I'm Mariah Balenciaga, and I am an icon in the ballroom scene. I am legendary for walking butch queen up in drag's face. I've dabbled in multiple categories. And I go by in drag, she, always. And then if I'm out of drag, it can be he or she.
Hello, my name is Lego Javert, founding father of the House of Javert. I am the Hall of Fame icon. I'm joking, y'all. Okay. I know y'all about to say, what? Hello, everybody. My name is Lego Javert. I am an NYC commentator. My pronouns is he and him, she and her when I'm feeling Kant, she and her when we are reading. I am a statement in the ballroom.
It's often said that some things are outdated in ballroom and some things need to change, like categories such as body or realness, because they might not be as inclusive enough. Body has always been inclusive. It's about the confidence that you have to carry off the package that you are in. That's where cheesecake comes in. But cheesecake, realness. We had luscious body, model's body. We had muscular
body,
swimmers. Like we've had every shape and size body. It's about your confidence and how you sell it. And if you are ashamed of what you're presenting, don't present it. That's what ballroom is about. If you go out there and you are timid about, I don't care how fine you are, what your physique is, but if you can't sell it, I'm not buying it. And that comes to realness, face, sex, body, all of it. Except for labels, but you'll get shot for how you put it together still.
And the piggyback on that as well is some of the categories antiquated. And I don't think so. And the reason why is that every promoter has the ability to make the category modern. They have the ability to make it how they want to see people bring it. Ballroom is supposed to be creativity. Each and every ball is different. So you might have one category you might not like. I choose not to walk that ball because I don't like that category. I see another ball, I like that category. I know I'm gonna go out here and slay it. That's your choice. You get to choose how you want to present yourself. In the ballroom, the categories allow you to bring your own concept to it. So however you choose to want to see it, people might like it, the people might not. It's no different than legendary. You had the judges sitting on a panel. They might like it, they might not like it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's antiquated, to answer your question again.
No,
It's just about how you bring your
interpret
package.
the category.
I will say this, and I can't agree to this. I do think the times have changed where, with the realness category specifically, that it was once that you're trying to emulate cisgender, but the world has been flipped upside down with cisgenders trying to emulate the trans girls and the ballroom. All of it's coming back from ballroom. All the bodies that you see, all the surgeries, all of that is ballroom. So it's kind of like, but you're real now because they're looking like you.
Hey, little queen, how are you? Yeah. So, if you want to get involved with the ballroom scene, if you are, I would honestly say 20 and younger, look out towards the Kiki scene, right? I feel that the Kiki scene is a great introduction to the Kiki scene. Like, long story short, think of the ballroom scene being major league and the Kiki scene being little league, right? For me, I came through the Kiki scene and it basically prepared me for certain nuances, that were at a smaller level, but when they happened on the major floor, even said I was kind of prepared for, when it comes to what's required of me, right? If you are over 30, if you are over 30, leave the Kiki scene alone. Come to the main scene. Leave the babies alone. Come to the main scene. 25. And for those of you who are older than 21, and I mean from 21 moving on, if you're alive and breathing, you can get involved. There's literally a category for everyone. And if there isn't, those categories are literally created on the floor. We just started having trans man performance, right? I think that a lot of people get nervous when it comes to joining ballroom because they see that we can be who we are, but like it was said, you're catching the moment of the video. You're not seeing what actually built up to time, right? We've had people who are very nervous to even touch topics of ballroom or invite ballroom people to certain spaces or whatever because we have a strong, demure, if you will, about ourselves. But that's the community, right? When I came to ballroom, I did not know what an old LGBT person looked like until I stepped here, right? I did not know that we were able to work outside of, fast food and escorting and TV and seeing people that work in the government, seeing people that, are hairstylists, seeing people that are community leaders. The ballroom helped me see that literally I can live the life that I want to live and it's all around me. So I definitely, encourage you, if you feel like you want to be a part, but be a part in the right way, connect to the people around you.
Let me touch on that for a minute because I had somebody say this too. Trans men specifically. Ballroom has been around and it has my brother actually started the trans man category in ballroom, Javon Martin. And trans men came in and it looked like it died off in the scene. And I saw somebody recently said, I wish they would bring, especially on Legendary, bring some trans men on there. Okay, people, I want people to realize this. Ballroom is very inclusive, but everybody don't participate in ballroom. You cannot bring something into ballroom that you're not just participating because we, at a point in time in ballroom, a lot of people shunned ballroom. They felt like it was the lowest thing to do, to be a part of it, anything. While all of these people are sitting around here being a part of it, certain groups of people don't. And not all, but I'm just saying. So to say that you want to see these things, you have to participate in these things. You have to know these things. And we see that you have to be a part of it. So it's welcoming for everybody. Come and be a part. Just because you don't see the category, trans man performance, you got butch queen performance. If you're a man, you trans man, walk butch queen performance. The category is there for you to walk. So don't say that it's not there. It's there. You accept it. They would accept you. So people need to stop making these excuses that some ain't there. You better go out there and prove it. That's all Ballroom is. When they tell you you can't, you better tell them, look at me.
Yes. Well, for anybody, young, old, first I would encourage you to do some research, because it's a culture that deserves respect and needs respect, and your respect if you want to be a part of it. Otherwise, the scene will disrespect you. And don't gag when they do, because we can see through some shit. So that's first and foremost. Then also, feel free to get somebody that you get a vibe off of to mentor you. Sometimes you can dive in. There's a few individuals that have been very successful just diving in and going for it. But those are very thoughtful and strategic individuals. Don't try to come in and see somebody walking around in heels on a runway and be like, ooh, I can do that. And then you go up there and make yourself look a fool, because then you're jaded about the scene because they let you have it. So go into it for the right reason and make sure that you respect the culture, respect the scene. I mean, you wouldn't go to any other culture and just automatically assume you're a part of it, right? Do your research, respect it, and add to it. Bring something to the table.
Thank you for watching. The category is Ballroom. And now more from Black Queer Town Hall.
That was wonderful. If you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did, please see more on Black Queer Town Hall's YouTube.
Thank you to all those icons and legends in the ballroom scene. Thank you for that amazing conversation.
That's right. So last year, I had the opportunity to sit down with Randall Tucker from Mastercard, and I was so pleased when I had the chance to sit down with him again and speak about all the things that Mastercard is doing and that Randall Tucker is doing to continue the conversation on Blackness and queerness in the corporate space. So here is that conversation. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching Black Queer Town Hall. Before we get started, make sure you give this video a like and share it. The minute you're watching this, as soon as you hear me telling you to share it, just share it. We want as many people to see this conversation as possible. Of course, we have lots of special things in plan for this year, 2021's Black Queer Town Hall. But it wouldn't be a Black Queer Town Hall if we didn't take a moment to sit down and have an important conversation with Randall Tucker, who I guess this year, it's almost like an inaugural thing every year. And so I'm here for it. So happy to be joined by Randall Tucker with Mastercard. Randall, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your roots.
Well, I mean, it's really a pleasure to be a part of this platform and to meet you again, Ms. Peppermint. I really adored the last time we had a chance to chat with each other. Yeah. About my roots. So I was kind of thinking about that. What would I say in a few bullet points? I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Inclusion Officer here at Mastercard, but there was a long journey getting there. And so if I think about the first things that come to my mind, it's that I'm from a small farming town in Virginia on a dirt road that I lived for the first 17 years of my life. I met my soon-to-be husband the first week of college. So that'll be 26 years.
Oh my, congrats.
Work, thank you, for about 20 years. And my favorite quote is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I think those are the things that people would remember me by.
Over the past year, we've seen an understandable sadness and anger and frustration over the horrifying acts of violence and discrimination against the Black community. And on the other hand, we've seen an extraordinary level of dialogue and openness and calls to action and understanding. What has the past year meant to you?
Well, as a gay Black man and leading inclusion and diversity within an organization, it's been a lot, quite honestly. And if I'm being honest, I don't think I've had a chance to actually fully realize what this moment has been, because I've been so busy trying to help the organization as well as our employees get through the past year, and quite honestly left myself out of the equation in some points. I will say there are a few things. One is that this is a time and a moment that we can't let go by. There's so much momentum around the globe, yet alone in the US, around how racism can be reversed through some of the tragic events that happened last year, and making sure that those things actually change in some positive action. I also learned that, there's been a lot of pain and trauma for a lot of people from the last year. And to recognize that, we have to really step into each other's shoes to understand what they've gone through. And last year was a moment for us to do that. I think I got most emotional when I heard or saw an interview when George Floyd's brother did an interview, and it kind of just reminded me of my own brother and my own nephew, of what it would feel like to lose someone. So there's a lot going on, but I think it's a moment that we can't let go by without doing something positive.
It's really interesting. It's been a wonderful opportunity to interrogate ourselves, right? This year as well, like understanding that even if we're not a part of one of these communities, Black community, LGBTQIA community, and beyond, we all have stake in the results of this struggle, this fight, this direction that we're moving in.
Right. I think Maya Angelou, it was one of our great African-American women that said, anything that happens affects us all. And so whether you know it or not, the mistreatment and harm that you do to others ultimately comes back to you. And so I think that's really important to realize.
As an inclusion leader, can you tell me what equity means to you in that regard, and how you've personally been taking action to drive equality on behalf of the Black and LGBTQIA plus communities?
Yeah, I think when you talk about equity, it needs to be put in context with a few other words. So when we talk about diversity, at Mastercard, we think of all the things that make us both similar as well as different. None of us are a carbon copy of each other. And so therefore we're all diverse. So that's really important that we have this very broad definition of what that term means, and that we're not carbon copies of each other. We are all important.
So how do you encourage individuals to use their voice and ignite change towards an inclusive world?
Well, I encourage them. Well, first of all, our employee base, and I don't care what organization you're in, and it's no different for Mastercard, our employees are our greatest asset within the company, because what makes your company unique is the brain share of your employees. And so how I would say that they bring themselves unique within the organization is that it's so important to have representation from senior level all the way down to the more junior ranks, because they have their own lived, authentic perspective of the world. And so I can only tell you what it means to be a Black gay guy that's in an inclusion role, because as I show up in those meetings, I can only give you that perspective of my known experience. And so that's why it's so important to have diversity, is because our customers are those same people you're trying to market to. And so if we have the internal perspective of what that uniqueness looks like, it better enables us to problem solve as well as innovate, to make sure that our customers feel like they're being heard and valued.
Well, how do we get people to celebrate our differences in that regard?
Well, I mean, I think that celebration comes in a different in different ways. So I think part of it is when you're in a business that you're celebrated for your brain share that you bring to the company, and that perspective, and that only you can bring your perspective to the table. And I think that's the cool part about working in an organization, is that you can provide that lens of my own unique perspective and how I might tackle business. But there's the fun part too around, we have business resource groups within our organizations, and one of them is Pride for our LGBTQ plus community, which is awesome. And they do a lot of things to bring awareness to the community and the struggles that the community continues to face. But it's also an opportunity to celebrate just who we are the journey that we've been on, but also kind of look towards like, here's what we want to see moving forward in the community.
I love that. I love that. So speaking, I mean, you spoke a lot about community, and you spoke about how for any company, and including Mastercard, the employees are the greatest asset. And so what knowing that, what role or even responsibility do you see private partnerships and corporate America having in creating change for equity?
Well, here's the thing. I think that over the past few years...
Reparations! Okay, go ahead.
You're so funny. You got that in there. I love that. What I will say that many people are now looking to organizations to be a moral compass, where a lot of other institutions seem to have failed people. And so I know that what we call it, our moral compass at Mastercard, is called the Mastercard way. It's kind of our guiding principle for our values. And part of that value system is inclusion. And so when we think about what can allies do, I mean, it boils down to proof points. I mean, people are tired of talking. It's like, what exactly have you done to make a difference in someone's life? So within, in Mastercard, what we try to do is to make sure that we're giving everyone an opportunity to work here. And so that means going out, since we're talking about the LGBT plus community, we go out and source talent from the group. So we go to places where we can find that talent. From our marketing branding efforts, the true name. I mean, that is something that talk about brain share in the organization being authentic. The whole comment or that whole product or idea came from our business resource group saying, here's how we can be more important within in the trans and non-binary communities. You choose your name that you want to put on that card, which is, it seems simple, but a name means everything to folks. And then within creating economic, equity in all communities, we do the same thing, how to make sure that the diversity shows up within that. So I think individuals, you have to put your money where your mouth is and your actions where your mouth are. But also at the same time with companies, making sure that they show up as the employer of choice, the brand of choice, and the economic partner of choice.
And so what role would you say that allies play, given that, you said you putting your money where your mouth is, and individual actions, I guess, speak louder than words. What role do allies play? Because, there was a moment in time when allyship could just mean like, I support you. Okay, I'm done. And so what role do allies play post 2020?
Post 2020, again, it goes back to the proof points of what did you do? And so it means standing up when someone is being harassed, and you have a place to make sure that they are safe or felt like they're welcome. It means that when they're not in the room and they don't have representation in certain pockets and boardrooms and things like that, or it's even certain conversations within your own family, you speaking up for them if they need a voice. It's little things as well as the big things. When you're trying to round out your team of your next hire, have you chosen someone that is part of this community? Because you probably need that perspective. And so it's not just one thing, but it's many different things that show the proof points that you're an ally, just apart from saying it.
One quick thing, though, before we finish, I want to, can you remind folks that are watching, and specifically about the True Name Project and project, the new initiative from Mastercard, new as in it's been around for a year already, but can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so True Name in a nutshell is it was spurred out, or it came from our business resource group called Pride, and it was our opportunity to think about how do we do more and better within the trans as well as non-binary community, and it reaches other communities, but we knew that it's such a pain point for this community to really express their name in so many documents, and it's so hard to sometimes do that. But we said, heck, you can just do whatever you want to. Put your name on the card. And so we're really excited about that you can put your true name, the one that you want to be identified as, on the card. And we've had much success over the past year and a half. And what we're doing now is expanding it across the globe. And so I know that we've done some expansion in Europe. So it's really caught on. And a lot of our banks and institutions, in the way that they show their proof point of how they're being inclusive, have built this product into their portfolio. So we're really excited.
Oh, that's wonderful. You can find out more about True Name, obviously, on the internet, and make sure you stay tuned to all of to Mastercard to see what they have rolling out for Pride, what other fabulous things they have cooking up for us this year, and of course, more about their True Names project. Randall Tucker, you are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. And everyone, thank you for joining us for our fireside chat with Randall Tucker from Mastercard. Please go to Black Queer Town Hall at our YouTube channel to find out more about what we have going on. We have some really great events later on today, or if you're watching this as a standalone, go on back and watch the rest of the, I'm going to call it festival, but we got lots to show you, so check it out. Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you, Peppermint.
Pep, that was a cute little kiki. Okay, next year we're not calling them fireside chats. We're calling them fireside kikis.
Fireside kikis. I mean, honestly, we've been joking about how fireside chat just doesn't sound like us. Like it is what it is. It's not a panel. It's not a speech. It is a conversation. But like, okay, it's a fireside chat, but there's no fire. And honey, we ain't chatting. We kikiing.
Yeah. So a little fireside kiki. An Ethernet kiki, if you will. I'm really excited. You know, when we were planning our programming this year, Pep at one point said, I have a statement that might be controversial. And I said, baby, we live in controversy, okay? And she was like, I would like to include Black queer sex workers in our programming. And unanimously, everyone was like, absolutely. So we're really excited to be able to include that in this year's programming.
That's right. And to intro this segment, we have a dear friend, an activist, and a pioneer as a bisexual performer in the world of adult entertainment. He has his own programming and has his own content that is, I believe, doing very, very well. And he is very key in challenging a lot of the notions on what it means to be a bisexual male performer who is also biracial in mainstream porn. And so here is Wolf Hudson.
I am Wolf Hudson, and I'm a Dominican mixed-race Afro-Latino and 15-year adult film veteran. And one of the issues that I've had to deal with over the years is the fact that I am white complexion, white passing, and that's given me a lot of access and a lot of privilege. Most people don't view me and say that he's mixed. And so I've been very privy to a lot of conversations in regards to race, racist jokes. And usually when people find out that I am mixed, there's disbelief, there's shock, and there's dismissiveness of, I don't want to work with Wolf because he's mixed. And so I've taken this position to call it out when I see it, when I hear it. If there's a script that has derogatory language, that has stereotypical, narratives based off of race, I call it out. Because I know that there are many performers of color who are fearful of talking up and actually saying something because of the limited work, limited resources. And they don't feel like they're in a position to say anything for fear of retribution. I have no fear of retribution because of my privilege. And so I've done everything that I possibly can and elevate performers in terms of promoting and teaching them how to use social media, how to shoot content, how to better elevate themselves so that people can see the best of them, because there's so many great performers of color that people don't have an opportunity to really see in the studio-based system. But now with content creation, you're seeing an explosion of content creators of color, and it's a wonderful thing. And so I'm so grateful to be a part of this, and I'm looking forward to all of you sitting back and hearing the ins and outs, the ups and downs of how Black sex works. And I hope you enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us here for another fabulous event with Black Queer Town Hall. I hope you've been enjoying everything we've been giving you, and we have so much more. Now, I'm so excited to present to you this conversation that we have been dying to have. It's called Black Sex Works. and it's a discussion on queer Black sex work. And I have with me today the very fabulous T.S. Madison.
Hi, Peppermint. Thank you for having me.
Yes, gorgeous. And the fabulous Judas King. Woo! I feel like I have to sing your name every single time. Now, at the risk of sounding too politically correct and progressive, I would like to know everyone's pronouns and how they identify. Please.
Judas, would you like to go first?
Sure, just by all of them. He, she, they, them. All of them.
Gorge.
Okay, so you're they, them.
Yeah, just everything. It doesn't matter to me.
Oh, you do he, she, they, and them. Well, for me, it's she, hers, and mine. That's how it works.
Oh, I like the mine.
I need to incorporate.
I'm she, her.
Okay.
Yours. Just jumping right in. As Black folks, I don't know. Okay, look, I'm going to be real here. Like, I don't have much experience in sex work, but I do have experience in work, and I have experience with sex. What has your experience been like with dealing with stereotypes, whether they're gender stereotypes or racial stereotypes in your line of works?
Oh, well, for me, I think what people are always amazed by is that, I have chameleon abilities. Like, I can adapt to any room, any space. If you need that ratchet girl, you got it. If you need that intellectual girl, you got it. If you need that girl that's going to talk about sex, you got it. Politics, you got it. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I really shock people when I get really deep into conversation with them. But I'm like, well, what made you think that the only thing that I was able to provide you, ma'am or sir, was... Hold on, bitch. I was like, well, what makes you think that was the only thing that I can give you? And some people said, well, I've been watching your social media. I said, well, I don't think you've really been paying attention to my social media because I give you every facet of me on my social media. Then let's move deep. Some people have only been or only had the introduction to me in a sex work space. And I've retired from that since the year 2013, like when I started to catapult into my fame outside of that. And so,
damn, 10 years, girl.
And so because I retired from that, people are like, well, what do you do now?
More than you.
And what do you say?
Well, the first way I hit him was, bitch!
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me you ain't...
That's how they brought that girl out. Girl, that's how they brought that girl out.
Can I tell you, Peppermint, what is so insane? Was this just recently happened to me. A gentleman was like, yeah, I see you got a TV show and stuff like that, the T.S. Madison Experience and things like that. That's nice, but what you do now? Like, you ain't making no more than porno videos? I was like, so let me ask you this, sir. You think that I'm up there and no one's paying me? Don't you know that when the time was for you, that you had to pay me? That you had to run me my money? You don't think that them people's back there running me my change? And so I felt very disrespected. I've always felt disrespected. Like, when I start... Well, at first, I'm rambling here, but I got to get this out. At first, I felt really disrespected when I was, in the beginning stages of crossing over into my mainstream success. And people was like, well, where is she going to come here? What is she going to hold? Is she going to pull her dick out? Is she going to run through? Is she going to say new weave 22 inches? Like, what is she going to do? And then when I get a microphone and they find out that I can do everything, they're like, I'm like, see, bitch, this is why I charged you what I charged you to get here, honey. But it gets irritating, and no matter how big you get, people will always see you in that light. Mm-hmm. And I think for those people out there watching, you just have to totally, like, really cut those people off and like not have those conversation with those people because they're trying to really keep you in that space.
Mm-hmm. Judas, tell us how have stereotypes in either gender or race affected you in?
I mean, like everything, like both y'all said,
field.
and again, like with the gender thing, like I don't like being forced into a box and being kept there. Like I am an animal that needs to roam free. I'm an animal that needs to, take charge, that needs to do their own thing and make their own decisions and choose who they are, and not, not conform to what other people think I should be. Because I've been, being a dancer, people think I'm automatically stupid. People think I just do a bunch of drugs, and people think that, I don't want anything else other than to steal your money. And then same with sex work too. Like they see nothing other than a BB. And like even in my line of work, even in my OnlyFans, I really try to keep everyone that I work with a person of color.
Why?
Why? Because
Tell us why.
In the history of dealing with egotistical sex workers, they always end up saying something left or something uneducated. And I'm, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I'm just tired of educating people. Like, you are grown. You should know better. Or educate yourself. Like, sober.
So what are some other misconceptions? We don't have to spend too long on this because y'all both talked about some of the misconceptions that people have, but are there any other misconceptions that irritate you, that people have about you or others in your line of work that you've heard and you're like, oh, I'm over this?
Definitely one for me, one misconception that people have about me from being a former adult film actress, producer, and all of that stuff is that I'm always. How deep can we go with words here?
You can go as deep as you want, honey. And now if it is a family show, but if we need to bleep something, we might bleep it.
Okay. Well, they think that I'm always wanting to have sex, and like I'm always in the middle of sex, and like they're I know you got a million your dudes hitting you up. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not communicating with those dudes. Like I don't have no type, or like I'm just so loose, and that every time there's a penis out, that I'm over there googling and gaga. Yeah, like I'm like, girl, what do you mean, honey? I have a choice if I want to do this or not. Like you're not gonna just say to me, oh, I know you do porn, so, or you've done porn, so I know you want me. I don't. I don't.
If anything, probably because they said that.
Right. I don't.
Yeah, that's literally the first thing that popped into my mind, too. People think I'm always horny. I'm always wanting sex. I always want to. I don't have sex outside of work. I barely outside of work. Like, my libido's so low. Like, everyone thinks we owe them something because, again, they think we're objects.
Right.
Thank you so much for joining me. Judas King, T.S. Madison. You can catch T.S. Madison's show on WeTV. I'm absolutely obsessed. And the T.S. Madison experience. Are y'all give us a little bit of tea. Is there another season coming?
Listen. There's lots of things coming for the T.S. Madison experience. I don't know how they're moving around. I'm still working heavily with WeTV and AMC because AMC owns WeTV. And in the moment while they're getting that stuff together over there, I'm keeping it going. I'm working on a whole heap of stuff. Like, child, they about to see me on every network.
I'm about to see you on another network, and we're gonna talk about that later, girl. And follow, but then to keep up on it, make sure you follow The Real T.S. Madison on socials, and make sure you follow Judas King on socials, please. Is it underscore Judas King, or is it just Judas King? It's underscore Judas King. It's underscore Judas King on socials. And listen, this conversation is obviously, this was a long one. This was a long and deep conversation. No pun intended, or maybe was it? But it's an important conversation. Talking about all these issues and realizing that we as Black folks, we are in every industry and we are of every identity. And we are deserving of all the same love and respect that people in the same industries who have different skin colors and different identities that you give them. And we are also deserving of that same dollar. So unfortunately, the disparity isn't just about the sex work, because a lot of the same things that happen with Black performers getting paid less, being ostracized more, being pushed out, being put in a situation where they're not really able to get their whole bag. It goes across every single industry, whether you're a lawyer, a doctor, a drag entertainer, or what have you. And that is your fault. I'm sorry, y'all. Not ours. So let's talk about it. If you want to hear more of this discussion, please go to Black Queer Town Hall and watch the extended version of this conversation, because we do have an uncut version. I got to make all my sex puns, obviously. But y'all are amazing. Thank you so much, T.S. Madison and Judas King, for joining us. Mitch, thank you so much behind the scenes for running the show. And stick around, because we have more on Black Queer Town Hall.
Ooh, girl, that conversation got me hot and bothered. Thank you to T.S. Madison and to Judas King for helping us out with that amazing, amazing conversation.
I can't believe we've made it to the very end of the first day, Bob.
I know, I'm going to cry.
Well, wait, save your tears, because we still have one big thing. And when I say big thing, it is major. The Seattle civic poet, Jordan Imani Keat, is here with an original poem to just let us down gently so that our tears, give us something to pat our tears to while we listen.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jordan Imani Keat, and this poem is for Black Queer Town Hall 2021. It's called And There Is That. And there is that, how fierce we are, like high-heeled leather boots on stilts, dancing the whole parade route of our lives. We, like every other bird, see us in feathers, our plumage writes our lives. Sometimes we have to whisper in the dark to ourselves, love, love, love. Like the angels in the Talmud telling flowers to grow, the way we came out of wombs, grow. Out of closets, grow. Out of clothes that didn't fit what is invisible inside, grow. That's how it happens when you sit by the river of yourself. You are, and you are never the same. See yourself in the smooth copper skin of madrona trees, pirouetting on cliffs. How fierce, how fierce, how fierce we are. And soon it will be June. Tiny pride parades like sparklers replacing fireworks will light like lantern lampposts do. Something special, ornate about its particular light. It's a tradition in old cities to make the lights stand out, to make the mundane June strolls that tourists take seem special as they plod along like Clydesdales in parades. We wear rainbows, turn our bodies into fireworks. Years after the first time I saw the fireworks of two men holding hands above the table in candlelight, I still take to the streets to stand with a friend. We are lampposts, old lights in later June. And soon tiny pride parades will drop into the streets like rain. Lonesome children made special with stickers that say, P-Flag loves you. You are very special, Pastor Hall would say. Wrap your arms around fireworks. That's God. You are that kind of light. Parables are tiny parades of people, ornate in a particular light, because we have to dazzle in summer. June is as fleeting as February. Not enough time for people who should be celebrated every day, because we are light and feathers in the darkness, because we are lampposts, blazing the way to love, love, love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jordan Imani Keat, for that amazing poem. And I can't believe when we reached out to her, she literally was like, I'm going to write something brand new. So thank you so much to the Seattle civic poet, Jordan Imani Keat. And remember, all of the conversations that you saw today are just a small amount of the full conversations, which can be found over on the Black Queer Town Hall YouTube page. And when you get there, you can still see lots of content from last year's programming and what we've been up to throughout the entire year.
That's right. And so when we decided to do this again, we weren't quite sure exactly how this was going to turn out. And I'm just so glad that we were able to bring you this day with all of these fabulous conversations, all these wonderful conversations, all these really deep and really important conversations for each of you to listen to. Tomorrow is focused on performance, but we wanted to make sure that we really drove home the point that although we were having conversations through the summer last year, that time has not finished. We are still in the thick of this new awakening and awareness about Black queerness. I think one thing that's really important that we learned last year that we're bringing into this year is the sort of the notion of intersectionality. That you're not going to have conversations about misogyny without including conversations on race and racism, without including conversations on queerness, without including conversations on trans and gender nonconforming people. These conversations need to be happening simultaneously. It is a lot of information, but we can do it because we can do we've done everything else, and we can certainly do this. These are important conversations to share. If you haven't engaged in them before, please bring up some of these subjects. Just try it out and bring up some of these subjects with the people that you know and love, because I can guarantee you the result of that, either residually, indirectly, or directly, could be life-saving for someone in your community or even in your family. And so I am so grateful to all the contributors, all the people who have spoken, all the people who've written pieces for today's presentation, all of the people who are engaged in the conversations. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, we will be celebrating and rejoicing, and I'm so excited about that.
Yes, y'all. Listen, to quote the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King, this will be a great America, and we will be the participants in making it so. See you all tomorrow.
Peace.
For transgender people, a secure payment doesn't mean protecting yourself from someone buying sneakers with your card. No, if you're transgender, a secure payment means paying for something without being judged, questioned, disrespected, humiliated, harassed, even assaulted, simply because the name on your card doesn't match how you identify. This is about more than just keeping a card safe. It's about keeping us safe. True Name by Mastercard, the first card that allows you to display your chosen name because that's who you truly are.